Hello, World Wide Web. Long-time viewer, first-time video maker. And specifically welcome to the fellow teachers at Sourdough Mennonite Church. The topic today is the Mark 2 passage where Jesus heals the paralytic. And it's a really interesting story. I have several lead questions that I put together on a PDF file that you can access. Probably the area that you'll focus is on two of the tensions that we see here in this story. One of the tensions is fairly easily seen, and that is how does Jesus have the right to forgive sins? And in our context, we might even ask, how does Jesus have the power to forgive sins when he hasn't been to the cross yet? So I have two questions to sort of build on that scenario. And I think it introduces a tension that we feel in our broader American context, and probably we feel the tension here in our church also. And that is the tension between, do we need a blood atonement for forgiveness? So some of the more traditional concepts in Reformation thinking is, yes, we need Jesus dying on the cross and we need a lot of blood. And then we have what is called the penal theory or the substitutionary theory for atonement. That's a lot of church history language you might not want to get into. The more Mennonite tradition and Anabaptist tradition has been to say that the life and lordship of Christ is salvation, and the cross is a part of the story, but isn't the center. There's other parts that are also the center. And I think a Mennonite story would love this particular passage, because in this case, Jesus offers forgiveness of sins, and he doesn't require payment. He doesn't require payment of himself on their behalf, and he doesn't require payment from the person. Just simply, your sins are forgiven. So you can spend some time working with that tension in your classrooms this week. The other tension, which comes through a little more, I think maybe subtly, is the understanding of the audience as to why this guy was a paralytic in the first place. Most of the audience seems to assume that he was that way because of past sin, either by him or his parents or his grandparents. So this starts bringing on a bit of an understanding of why Jesus wanted to say forgiveness of sins compared to Jesus saying get up and walk. So as you keep looking through this story, I think we also are asked to look through our own lives and try to identify long-standing stories. As I say in one of my lead questions here, maybe there's cases in your class where people are concerned about sins of the father kind of stories. Stories where ancestors set people up for lifestyles that maybe are not helpful and we could call in sin category. And that leads us to then try to ask as a class in a small group, what can we do? How can we move through confession? So you might want to go into both of those. You might not. I'm not really sure how your class wants to be set up. But I think you'll find these questions helpful in leading you through. Also note they're not in specific order. I'm not saying you have to do question number 1 first. If you have any further questions and you want to dialogue further with me about this, or if you want more stories from church history, feel free to email me. My contact information will be at the end of the PDF file. Thank you.